Hey everyone, my name's Joshua Kirk and this is episode number 9 of the LumEd podcast. This is a podcast that we started quite a few weeks ago when we went into lockdown as a country. These conversations are still very relevant, so we still wanted to leak them out and share them with you. This week we talked to the Chia Sisters. Well, we actually talked to them 2 months ago, but we talked to the Chia Sisters, Chloe and Florence, who run an amazing company called the Chia Sisters in Nelson. We hope you really enjoy it, and you may be wondering why our faces aren't as present as they have been in previous episodes. And that's because we're professional videographers and sometimes we forget to record ourselves and forget to hit the red record button on the cameras. So unfortunately, we didn't record ourselves, but we recorded the main event, which is Chloe and Florence, and they have some great things to say. Sit back and relax and enjoy this episode.
Hey guys, welcome. Thanks so much for being a part of this conversation. So you guys obviously aren't living in the same house, even though you're business partners.
No, we're not.
And sisters, different houses.
What sort of capacity are you running at the moment?
So sort of put a halt on all production, and since then we've pivoted pretty rapidly to online sales, and we're back up to around 50%, although that number seems to be changing quite a lot.
There are a lot of companies out there that have a digital plus a physical product. How is business going to be changing for you coming out of this season, or how do you think it's going to look?
I think online, as you said, is going to be huge, and every company, including ourselves, needs to be focusing on that at the moment. And, you know, maybe we'll be eating out at cafes and people will be buying our drinks in 1 month's time. Maybe that is going to be something that people just don't do that much anymore for the foreseeable future. We don't have any idea. So I think that's, regardless, people's buying habits have changed and a lot more people are buying online. So every company needs to be focusing in that direction.
So is there anything that you've done during the season to actually adapt for the season that's going to be coming ahead? Or because obviously online sales or the e-commerce space was already well and truly underway. Is there anything that you've done to adapt or put some parameters in place to help make that process a little bit more robust?
Yeah, just all the boring stuff. I don't know if it's relevant for the podcast, but
Well, I spent about 100 hours in the period of a weekend. I don't even know if that's possible.
we launched a new website on Shopify rather than Squarespace yesterday, and have done retargeting Facebook ads for the very first time and just super basic stuff like that. I guess one thing that we're doing is trying to diversify our website a little bit to bring more offerings to people. Single serve drinks are great to be home delivered, but there are items that are better suited to home delivery that are still within our values. So we're going to be doing a little bit of innovation in that space to try and diversify.
And again, that can be where we potentially work with some cafes, is how can we come up with an online offering and provide that through our website as a collaboration with Chia Sisters. And I think that's we're recognised for nutrition and innovation and sustainability and all those things, but that can be applied to a whole range of products and services. It doesn't need to be limited to drinks.
That's so great. I guess one theme that I'm picking up the whole time is you're naturally leaders. The traits of your business aren't ones of just following what other people are already doing. And I guess going back to that leadership question, particularly for us, we're just a really small company at the moment. Like, what are things that you do on a daily basis within team meetings or conversations you guys just have? What are those things that really help you be leaders in your industry rather than, I guess, be a responsive business, just turning up to work, just producing a product thinking, oh, yeah, we're just going to do this? Are those conversations present? Those ones of, okay, how are we going to push the boundaries? How are we going to lead this industry? How are we going to move forward? Are they present in your daily interactions, and what do they look like?
I think, one of the amazing things that I've experienced through this journey is the ability to act quickly when you're a small business. And so, Florence and I might be out on a mountain bike ride. We'll have an idea. We'll be chatting about, this problem of global warming or whatnot. And then we'll be like, well, why don't we become a zero carbon business? And then we'll just do it. And that is hugely satisfying. So I think there's two parts to how that happens. One is that you create the space for the conversation, which was mountain biking, and we can't do that right now, which is problematic. But the next is, just making it happen. I think this business has never been about making a whole lot of cash or trying to sell things. We're really not good at selling things. What we're good at is, trying to if we've got a certain value and we think that it should be applied to business, then we get on with it.
I love that. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, we've definitely taken the fail fast, fail often approach. We have ideas all the time, and you guys will be familiar with the best ones. But for every good one, there's been a whole lot of work and a bit of money where things haven't worked. And so we're constantly trying all of these new things, and we always try and do it really lean, not quite right. If it gains traction, then, put more resources into it.
Yeah, super.
Yeah, there's a lot of fails. Believe me, there's a lot of fails behind this.
One thing that I love checking out your website, you've got a board of advisors to help you go through this. I'm assuming there's a bit of bouncing ideas back and forth with those guys and just trying to get some sort of clarity on what ideas might stick before you actually launch fully into something.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Nelson, as you know, is so fantastic for people helping each other out. And so we've got an amazing board of advisors. We've got Pick from Pick's Peanut Butter. We've got Don Everett. We've got Tim Saunders. We've got Julie Jackson and Mark Court. And these people come from a selection of marketing, New Zealand Trade and Enterprise, supermarkets, all the things that they have the expertise that we don't. And so they're a really good sounding board. And yes, of course, we knock on their door a lot.
It's so great. I'm probably going a bit off track here, but you're talking about business or the slowdown this 4-week period and how I guess it's made you start thinking about what business could be like in the future. What is your dream for Nelson and the business landscape over the next 12 months? What would you love it to look like? I think that'd be cool just to explore.
Well, I think firstly, I'd love it for small businesses to survive. I'd like the Nelson market to survive and all of the amazing producers there that have their passion for something and getting out there and trying to make it happen. I think next up, I would like all businesses to think about what they're adding to the community. And that's a tough ask right now. And I really appreciate that actually most of us are just trying to survive, and that's okay as well. It's just that I think business could be a positive contributor to community. And I think it could be, think more about its impacts on the environment. And I think that if every business did that, it would make the world a better place. At the moment, businesses are set up so that they're accountable to their shareholders for making profit, and that's it. So if businesses had to be accountable, have 3 bottom lines, profit, sustainability, and community, then I think things would be better.
That's a great thought.
Is that the rabbit hole you're after?
No, I really love that idea, and I guess it's part of the way that you could potentially break down some of the process of how do you start to achieve some of those goals? I know we entered the Nelson Business Awards last year, and one of the sections in that was sustainability. We don't necessarily provide a physical product, so it's not like we can go, oh yeah, we don't print in-house, we use all digital, and that's our sustainability policy. But there's so many different layers to sustainability. Can you perhaps touch on a little bit around how you might adapt? Like your innovative thinking is what is really pushing you guys forward, and part of the innovation is that sustainability realm. What is the thing that fuels your innovation, and how would you encourage businesses that don't necessarily? We'll use LumEd for an example. I'll use this as a private sustainability consultation. But how could we perhaps adapt and think? How can we have less of an impact on our environment or our community, where we're not actually producing a physical product that's doing, plastic bottles, for example?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think the most important thing is to have sustainability at the table in every single business decision that you make. And if you do that, you'll just naturally see all of these different things that you're doing that will become a part of your business. And, the worst example is a company that pollutes heaps and then donates 5% of their profits to cleaning up a forest somewhere. What's much better is if sustainability is in every single conversation you're having about major business decisions. You'll naturally see it trickle into the conversations you're having on podcasts, which will influence your listeners, and other examples like that, which will have a much bigger impact.
And I think also, even though you haven't got a physical product, you can still measure your carbon footprint. And that's hugely interesting, because you can't have it at the table as part of the conversation unless you know what it is. And my guess is that you've got no idea, what parts of what you do are creating what amount of carbon into the atmosphere. And by measuring it, it's probably very small, but by measuring it, you'll see where that low-hanging fruit is, and you'd probably be able to cut in half easily just by measuring it and then therefore understanding it.
So how do you go about measuring it?
You can be in touch with a number of environmental consultants, but there's a great one in Nelson called ECOS, and they're a not-for-profit. And there's 4 super easy steps. Basically, you call them up and say you want to measure your carbon footprint, and they give you like a list of 10 pieces of information that they need, which will be, for example, your power bill for the last year. You can just call up your power company and say, how many kilowatts of power did I use in the last year? And then ECOS come in and tell you how much carbon you've produced, and you can try and reduce your carbon emissions as much as possible. And suddenly it's really easy to see, because even for us, we're super interested in this, and we realized we had no idea where our carbon emissions were even coming from. And we realized some parts of our business, like air freighting overseas, we do that once a year, and it was actually resulting in about 10% of our carbon emissions. So being able to see where they come from, as Chloe said, will suddenly enable you to pick the low-hanging fruit and make the easiest cuts. And then you can offset your carbon emissions, which is basically contributing to a local native forest. We offset in the Ramika forest in Golden Bay. And we've become climate positive, so we've done that by 120%. And that's just providing the funds to take care of a part of the forest, and then just build that process into your business plan. So all of your business decisions, which will naturally happen because it will now be a cost, you'll be thinking about the carbon that's emitting.
I usually ride the Ramika once a year, so next time I'm riding down the Ramika, I'll give your trees a little wave.
Yeah. So when you come out at the bottom, there's a great sign over the bridge that says Ramika Carbon Sink. So now you'll know a bit more about why it says that.
So good.
So one thing that when we were trying to come up with a sustainability framework for our company, when we applied for the business awards, I guess we took the conversation around to staffing. And so one thing that we've implemented is a 4-day work week within our company culture. So we work Tuesday to Friday. We don't work Mondays through the weekend. A lot of us, we're sort of photographers and doing weddings and various other things on the side. So we technically are working 7 days a week. But as LumEd, it's created a really awesome, sustainable culture, so to speak. And I know one thing you guys do is you've implemented living wage within your company. First off, what is living wage, and what was the process like coming to that conclusion? And then just talk a little bit more about how that's affected the company culture. Chloe.
Well, I think it's important to start off with that there are many businesses that are already paying their staff the living wage. We just went through the certification process. And the reason, so the living wage is, it's about 25% higher than the minimum wage, and it's recognised as the wage that is needed in New Zealand for someone to be an active part of the community. So that means that they can live comfortably, that they can go to the movies occasionally, that they can contribute. So it's more than the minimum wage. And of course, we would want that for our staff. Who wouldn't? I mean, it's just, I work with these people. They're my friends.
Yeah.
I want everyone to be able to be an active member in the community. And so we were already paying our staff that amount or above anyways. But we decided to become certified because it would allow us to give a voice to the issue. And I think, again, coming out of COVID-19, I am concerned about a rise in inequality, and I want to do everything I can to stop that and talk about that. I just think it should be built into every business plan, is to look after people and treat them fairly, personally.
So great.
Ross, do you want to add something?
I think you covered it. I think also paying our staff the living wage comes back to us tenfold in their commitment to the business, and how they feel about working for us, and their passion for doing what they're doing and coming up with new ideas and feeling really invested and feeling like their whole families are invested. And I guess Kevin's offer to have his whole family come in and work the production line during this period is an example of that.
And any time we put out an application for a new role at the business, we're flooded. And, we put out a role for a dispatcher, and we've got chemistry PhD students applying because they want to be a part of the community.
Yeah, wow.
And
it's amazing.
Good applications, some of which were like ex-banking finance investors, and a woman that was a doctor of microbiology, and these people just want to be part of a cool community and they want to like their job, and I think the living wage is one factor in that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Can you let me know next time you're hiring? you might have an ex-videographer.
Ex-co-founder of another business.
It's a massive conversation to have, that whole inequality that's come out of COVID. It's not a question, but can you just chat about it maybe
Well, obviously inequality is an issue, but where is that happening because of COVID?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I feel like already there's clear data to show that inequality is increasing in New Zealand and across the world, and I think that this will just have a snowball effect, because there's likely to be a lot more unemployment. It's likely to be a lot more difficult to find a job, and it's likely that people at the top hierarchy in their work will be able to keep their jobs, and some of the lower paid workers will be the ones that are let go, who are probably struggling more financially at this time.
I mean, yeah, if you've got a house and you've paid for it, then you're going to get by. But if you are paying off a mortgage and you've got a young family and you've just lost your job and so is your partner, then what do you do?
Yeah.
I'm in a reasonably comfortable position because I've paid off a reasonable chunk of my mortgage. It's not a lot left now, and and I've got a business that will hopefully survive. I don't know, maybe not at this stage. But for people that have accumulated a lot of debt, or for people that are already living in impoverished conditions, then this is a really hard time.
I'm quite a fan of the UBI, like Universal Basic Income, and I think in a way that's sort of been a trial of this government handout to all these employees. We've all been just given a set amount of money and said spend it wisely. And I think that there will be a lot of artists during this time, singers or musicians or painters, writers, who are coming up with some cool ideas, just like you guys have been. You'll be coming up with some cool ideas that you wouldn't have otherwise. And I like the idea of that being able to continue, and so we're not like as obsessed with this like buying and selling, but where we can have more creative economy, potentially with a UBI, where people will be able to, write and look after their neighbours' kids and still have enough money to buy a chia drink, for example, at the end of the day, so that they stay in business. And I think that there might be a way to rethink the way we're doing things that could include something like that.
For you guys, has this time provided some headspace for you guys to get creative about the possibilities of new products or anything like that? Can we expect anything unique, interesting, exciting coming up on the horizon?
Yeah, we're working on things. We are working on things.
Like specifically from this season?
Yeah. I think it's a good opportunity to just, it's kind of like the fail fast, fail often thing, like in hyperdrive, because there's never been a better time to try something new really quickly and see if it works. So we do have a few things in the pipeline, and if they're failures, you probably won't hear about them, and if they work, you might.
Yeah.
And I think, the online platform is such a great opportunity for innovation, because you can put something up there. You can put something up there before you even have a product and just say this product's coming and see how many people click on it. And, the one that gets the most clicks wins, and you go ahead with that. It's a real way to test what could work and then go with it quickly.
Create a Marmite drink.
Marmite drink.
Peanut butter.
Yeah. Go the classic Kiwi route, Marmite. We're big fans of chia here in this household, so I really enjoy the what you guys are doing, and I like to think it's an experience. It's not just like a quick fix. I need to quench my thirst, but it's a real experience.
A digestive experience.
Yeah.
We'll send you another case once you're back in the office.
Oh, wow.
That'd be awesome. And I'll film JK drinking it
In slow-mo.
just for you. Look, I'm conscious of the time as well, but just wanted to thank you guys so much for the time and the availability to be, part of this. The content you guys have shared has been great. It's actually,
so
I've
good.
come away really inspired.
Thank you.
You guys are
Hopefully
doing-
we'll be able to get a coffee, in a month or something.
Please, let's do it.
What you guys should do, Joshua and myself are avid mountain bikers as well, and so we're just chomping at the bit to get out into the hills. You should set up little chia stations where you have like little recharge stations at the base of every track.
Little
We
honesty
have to all
box.
sit out 2 meters apart so people could.
It would have to be an auto dispenser though, Tim, because you wouldn't be able to touch it.
You could just have them 2 meters apart all the way up the track.
That's a great idea. People will just keep riding because they never run out of energy.
Even just hearing conversations around like, hey, these are local companies just having chats about the future. It's going to be okay. Things are still moving forward. sometimes is enough for people. So yeah, really appreciate your time.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, and also I guess as part of it, just extending out an invitation to anyone to get in touch if they want to bounce ideas about anything.
Well, you guys are definitely an inspiration, so thank you for doing what you're doing.
All right. Have a good
Cool.
afternoon.
See you guys
You too,
later.
guys.
Hey, so we hope you enjoyed that conversation with the Chia Sisters. You can check out all the good work that they're up to at chia.co.nz online, or find them on Instagram or Facebook at Chia Sisters. For now, that's it from us, and you'll see us next week with episode number 10. And we have 2 more to go before we round this season of the LumEd podcast up. So stay tuned, and we'll see you next time.